shot of sports on 95.7.
Yay! I'm excited. It's draft night, baby, in the NFL. And what is going down with the San Francisco 49ers? Pick 31, but will it stay there? Will they get a better pick? Will they trade a certain wide receiver who just had a breakout season, second-team All-Pro, and Brandon Ayuk? We're going to find that out tonight. 5 o'clock is when the first pick, well, or beyond the clock, that is, the Chicago Bears by way of the Carolina Panthers expected to take Caleb Williams out of USC Fight On University. We've made it. And there is just something about the NFL draft. And I'm a sucker for it. So it's not for everyone. But it has turned into such a spectacle that it's must-watch TV because you don't know what's going to happen. There could be 5, 6, 7 trades tonight. Who knows? There's going to be reaches, quote unquote. Again, we talked about reaches yesterday. A reach is what one might think is an overdraft based on production from college, based on where the mock draft experts in quotation marks, the Mel Kipers, Todd McShays, Daniel Jeremiahs of the world, have them graded. But a grade might be different for a Minnesota Vikings team when it comes to potentially trading up for a guy like J.J. McCarthy or drafting a guy like Michael Penix, a lot of injury history, a lot of talent, drafting him potentially at 13 or 12 if you're the Raiders or Broncos, respectively. So a lot to get into today as it pertains to the 49ers and NFL draft because they might have a lot of action, more so than we thought at the end of the season when they lost to the Super Bowl. Yeah, you get a late round pick. We'll see. Maybe get a tackle, best available. Well, things have changed. Brandon Ayuk could be gone. It's a possibility now. And I spoke about it yesterday in 888-957-9570. It's draft day. Are we trading Brandon Ayuk, 49er fans? Are we trading Brandon Ayuk? And maybe for you, it doesn't matter what I want. It's about what the 49ers are going to do. And they might just do that. But I think fans, we try to rationalize things, and we pivot pretty quickly. So when and if Brandon Ayuk is traded and they make a new selection, you got to be rooting for the new guy. And Ayuk's gone. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. Now, you could harbor some anger towards the front office for not getting a deal done, yada, yada, yada. It's going to be a very interesting 24 hours for the San Francisco 49ers because if there isn't a deal done or if there isn't a trade consummated for Brandon Ayuk today, then conventional wisdom would say they'll probably get a deal done, right? Because if you're going to make a deal, it's today. You would think. 888-957-9570 is the number to call or text the Xfinity mobile text line. Good morning to all you lovely people just getting off work, getting ready for work. You're still working. Appreciate you chiming in via Twitch or YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Go ahead and search 95.7 The Game, like and subscribe there. We're streaming all day long, all the way through 10 o'clock tonight, 6 to 10, be there or be square. Mark Grandy, Evan Giddings, Sterling Bennett has your first round NFL draft coverage right here on 95.7 The Game. So 6 to 10, Grandy Man, E-Dog, Evan Giddings, and Sterling, don't call him Sharp, Bennett, on the call for you, breaking it all down when it comes to Caleb Williams, when it comes to McCarthy, Penix, Jaden Daniels, all the top picks. And Penix might fall out, actually, which would be interesting. But all this buzz and smoke, he might fall. He might fall to a certain team out in Detroit where this draft is being held. Jared Goff not getting a new contract anytime soon, I should say. Looks like they're far apart, the Lions and Goff's representatives, in regards to a new contract. Amon-Ra St. Brown getting a new deal with the Detroit Tigers, as well as Penei Sewell. I always forget. It's like one of those names. And whenever and if they bring him back up, like is it Heliot Ramos? Is it Elio Ramos? Is it Helio Ramos? Is it Elliot Ramos?
He's never coming up, so who knows?
Well, there you go. He's just going to be nameless. He'll just be Ramos. He'll be that guy.
He's Sacramento guy.
There you go. Well, he'll be an A then. There you go. Too soon. Yeah. A's took an L yesterday. Giants took an L yesterday. Will the 49ers take an L today? Well, Tim Kawakami, TK Podcast, now an Odyssey podcast. So you can find the TK Pod here at Odyssey. He's part of our family now here. TK on Ayuk's future on with Willard and Dibbs yesterday.
I've been told it's up in the air, and I'm not going to make a guess. It's hard to put these trades together. There's a lot of complications with this one that the team would have to, they'd have to get an offer they like from a team that is willing to pay Brandon Ayuk. That's a lot. There's many levels to this.
Up in the air. And if you know anything about Tim Kawakami, he's tapped in. He's been very tapped in when it comes to all things 49ers, Warriors, Giants, A's, Sharks, whatever. He's been Mr. Bay Area reporter now for the better part of, well, at least for I've been reading him, 2 decades plus, I am sure. So TK on Will and Dibbs yesterday. You can find that entire interview. Just download that Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game. You can find all of our best interviews there. You can also find it on YouTube. Again, search 95.7 The Game, like, and subscribe. All right. It's up in the air for Brandon Ayuk's future. How do we get here? Well, you paid Debo. You paid Bosa. You paid George Kittle. You paid Fred Warner. You paid Dre Greenlaw. You paid all these guys. And now you finally have a quarterback you think that you're going to pay a lot of money to. A lot of money. You're going to pay him, seemingly after this season, a fat contract. And that starts to leave some question marks around the roster. It just does. It changes the equation. Look at Kansas City. Look at, what the Green Bay Packers had to deal with for a few years with Aaron Rodgers. All the big names, when they sign that fat deal, go to Cam Newton out in Carolina, things start to fall apart depth-wise for an organization. And when that happens, you have to get, off of big contracts, or you can't renew contracts that otherwise you would have. Think of Tyreek Hill with Kansas City again. Using that, going back to that team. Now is Brock Purdy going to command Patrick Mahomes type dollars? I would think not, but it's all about timing with contracts. And right now, guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown are getting a lot of money guaranteed. He was first team All-Pro last year. What was it, $77 million guaranteed overall? It's a lot of money, but he has earned it. It's $77 million in guaranteed money, 4-year deal for Amon-Ra St. Brown out of, again, you guessed it, USC with the Detroit Lions. Now, he was a baller last year. If you have him in fantasy, you probably won your league. He was that damn good. And if you didn't, well, your team sucks. Sorry. Bad drafter. What is Brandon Ayuk? What does he think he is worth? And what do the 49ers think he is worth? That's really what it comes down to. Because if Ayuk looks at himself in the same realm as Amon-Ra St. Brown, well, then I think he's getting traded. Because I do not think the 49ers are giving him $77 million guaranteed. I do not. Should they? Yes, but that's not the conversation. Will they? I don't know. It's not sounding like it at this moment. If I had to bet right now, 5:09 a.m. Pacific time, April 25th, 2024, year of our Lord, NFL Draft Day, round 1, Brandon Ayuk is going to get traded. That is what I believe. Here's more from Tim Kawakami on the 49ers positioning themselves to trade Brandon Ayuk.
The 49ers are positioning themselves around the league that they could trade Ayuk. Maybe that's the way to get the best trade offer. Maybe you put a scare in Ayuk. I don't know. That's how they're positioning it, in the way I've heard. And I think Ayuk's camp is positioning it. Yeah, fine, trade us. We're going to go somewhere that will pay us. We just want to get what's right. Both sides, maybe it's a stare down. Maybe it's a game of chicken. But you know what? Games of chicken sometimes end up in crashes. So I I'm going to wait. It's going to be very dramatic. I guess there's a potential they could even do it the next day for a second-round pick. I think that would be silly. I think Brandon Ayuk should, if you're going to trade him, you got to get a really good first-round pick and get a receiver that you know can plug right in there. Because if they trade him for a second-round pick, boy, I think they really take a step backwards in this quest to win a Super Bowl.
Oh, it'd be a disaster if Ayuk is not on the 49ers next year. An absolute disaster. Because you're bringing in a rookie, seemingly, that's going to have to get up to snuff in a Kyle Shanahan offense that is very difficult to grasp in year one. I don't care how good you are. You can be the best of the best and struggle with this. Brandon Ayuk was a first-round pick. He struggled early on. He was in the doghouse in that second year. It is not easy. And we just saw this with the Warriors. It is not easy to seamlessly fit a rookie into a championship window. It's just not easy. Kuminga, Moody, go back to Wiseman. Like these young players, if you're expecting that same production from Brandon Ayuk, first of all, it's unfair to the rookie. But also, it's just how the league works. Yes, you have your Justin Jeffersons that come onto the scene, and it's just amazing. Sure, you have a CJ Stroud last year balling out, not looking like a rookie. The guy was an MVP candidate in his rookie season at one point. Those are outliers. More often than not, you see some struggles early on, kind of like what you saw with Brandon Ayuk. You'll see some flashes. You'll see some dropped balls. You'll see some blown assignment. Like, that's what happens. And are the 49ers willing to do that in what seemingly is a final year of a championship window? That's what it feels like. This is kind of that last little, all right, let's try to run it back. But, if it doesn't work out next year, if you get bounced like in the divisional or the conference championship, Debo might be gone. Kittle might be gone. And then you're really kind of trying to retool that offense around Brock Purdy. And again, this is another equation. You want Brock Purdy to be successful, you keep weapons around him. And I know a lot of Niner fans have been talking about, we got the amount of calls, well, let's see what Brock Purdy would have been on, the Houston Texans with Tank Dell and all those, weapons out in Houston, which actually aren't horrible as we found out. But Dalton Schultz is not George Kittle. Tank Dell is not Debo Samuel. Well, we'll find out, won't we? If Brandon Ayuk truly is indeed traded. We can also find out if Brock Purdy can elevate, other talent around him, which I think he's been able to do. Just going off what I've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo to Brock Purdy, Brock has elevated guys like Ayuk. He has elevated guys like Debo Samuel, George Kittle, Christian freaking McCaffrey, who, if we're being honest, elevates everyone else around him. He is the guy on that offense. From the Xfinity mobile text line, 888-957-9570. 650, Ayuk, I love and hope to keep, but yesterday Brown got $200 million, and that means our boy is gone. I mean, no, yeah, $77 million guaranteed. Price went up on Ayuk. It did. Again, Amon-Ra, though, and if I'm the Niners negotiating, he was first team All-Pro. Ayuk was second team. There is a difference there. One was a top 2 or 3 wide receiver. Brandon Ayuk, that's all right. He was a top 6, top 5. But there's a difference. St. Brown, just a notch better than Ayuk. And that means he's going to get paid more. Here's Andrew Filipponi from our sister station, an Odyssey station, out in 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh, who has been heavily linked to Brandon Ayuk. They just got some new quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. They did not pick up Fields' fifth-year option. Didn't think they would. So he's going to be in the final year of that rookie contract. And they need some help. They got Pickens. They got Najee. Let's get another guy, right? Well, here's what Filipponi had to say yesterday on the Morning Roast when he joined Bonte and Chasky.
I know for a fact that the Steelers are still very interested.
Oh, boy.
There are a lot of guys in their front office who are looking at that Eagles model with the A.J. Brown trade and thinking, this is the guy we need to kickstart things for us and bring the most out of our quarterbacks who are one-year deals, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Their assistant GM, the guy who is setting the draft board for them, his name is Andy Weidel. He was with the Eagles before he came here last offseason. So, yeah, if the 49ers want to do business, the Steelers are ready.
Steelers are ready. I'm sure there are a lot of teams ready. I was reading Daniel Jeremiah, who I respect tremendously in this whole draft process, former scout, guy played at the collegiate level. He knows his stuff when it comes to breaking down players, quarterbacks, wide receivers, you name it. And he had his final mock. And he's the one guy I really look at because I feel like he's a good tap on all the players, all the GMs, all the executives, stuff like that. With pick 31, he has Xavier Worthy. This is an Al Davis kind of pick. Texas wide receiver who ran the fastest combine time with the 40 this past year. What was it, a 4.23, something like that? It's insane. That would be the Ayuk replacement. Now, he doesn't do a trade here. He didn't do any trades with the 49ers here. Just straight up 31, they took a wide receiver. Maybe he believes Ayuk is gone, not tonight, but at some point during this draft weekend or in the coming months. Who knows? But again, if you're going to make a trade and you want to get the value now, you probably have to trade him prior to this first round or during this first round. Kind of like what Filipponi alluded to with the A.J. Brown trade with Texans, and they end up taking Trayvon Burks, which has not worked out. It hasn't worked out for a lot of Tennessee there. Moving on from Vrabel, who, by the way, hasn't got a... What's Vrabel doing right now? Mike Vrabel, where's he at? How did that guy not get picked up? Maybe he didn't want to, but he's a personnel consultant with the Cleveland Browns. Okay. He's from Ohio. Makes sense. That's a guy. He's going to be a hot coaching commodity next year. That's all I'll say. A team that's going to have a lot of expectations. Don't be surprised. I'm going to link it now, a year in advance. Vrabel to Chicago. Because Eberflus, a lot of expectations there. Rookie quarterback. You know, maybe they go 8-9, something like that. Just miss out on the playoffs, but Caleb shows a lot of promise and flashes. But they didn't, because they're expecting a playoff berth out in Chicago, and I just think that's laughable. Don't sleep on Vrabel, Chicago. He's a defensive guy. They love their defense out there, but just put that in the cap, if you will, as Steiny and Goo like to say. From the 510, again, reminds me of Titans' A.J. Brown trade when they drafted Treylon Burks. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Xavier Worthy, though, I don't know. I like the speed. Who doesn't? Throw deep, baby. We love that. And having a guy like that in a Shanahan offense, it would be, I'm not saying he's the same guy, but it would be Tyreek Hill-esque. Shanahan's been looking for that burner, looking for that speedster. Thought he had it with Danny Gray. He hasn't been it. They're looking for that guy. Marquise Goodwin? No. They need that flat-out burner. Take the top off. And Brock doesn't have the biggest arm, but he has just enough of it where he can kill you deep. He can. Like a cobra, one might say.
Like a cobra!
I love Nick. Nick in San Jose, where you at, dude? You're a Raider fan. Give me a call, 888-957-9570. You want Penix or what? I love Nick. He might be the roaster of the year. Might be. Although, this guy.
I'm sorry. I hate to break the narrative.
He might be the evil roaster of the year. What did we call it? A Tyler Miller one?
The villain of the year.
Yeah, that's BPA might be that guy. And you know what?
The Tyler Miller Villain of the Year award.
What is it in A Bronx Tale? Is it better to be loved or feared? That's kind of it. I love Nick in San Jose. I don't fear BPA, but you know what? BPA is fearless. Give you that.
I'm right.
Thank you. That might be my favorite drop. That perfectly encapsulates sports talk radio right there.
I'm right.
He'd be perfect for New York in that market. I feel like that's what it is. BPA might be, and this isn't the market for him, but he'd be perfect in Chicago, Philly, New York City, because he just says what's on his mind, keeps it real. I appreciate that. Not all, but I do. All right. More from Filipponi here from, again, 93.7, The Fan out in Pittsburgh. They want Ayuk. They want him bad. And here's what he had to say about what the contract could look like.
I think that average annual number is going to be somewhere between $28 and $30 million.
Wow.
That's what I think.
Wow.
That's what I've heard.
Wow.
Because the salary cap's going way up. And look, I mean, after you could make the argument, because Justin Jefferson was dinged up last year, you can make the argument that after Tyreek Hill, there isn't a more productive wide receiver in the NFL right now than Brandon Ayuk, and he's in his mid-20s, and I think he's going to want to be paid accordingly.
So if we're just judging it off the latest contract right now, and we can go with Amon-Ra St. Brown if that's what you think is, comparable. I think it's a little more than what the 49ers want to do, but maybe Ayuk views himself as the same realm, I should say, as a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Great name, by the way. Isn't Ra the sun god in Egyptian lore? I love that. Also a character in Stargate, SG-1, in the Stargate universe. How about that? Didn't think I knew that. Oh, yeah. Big dork here on the pregame show. I love all you dorks and nerds. 888-957-9570, your favorite Stargate character. Average base salary right now. So the base salary for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So right now it's $1 million. He was a rookie, right? Then it gets to 8.3 next year. Then 27, 23, 35. But the cap hits is what you got to look at. So for the Lions in 2025, 13.9 million, 33, 28, then 41, and then 1.7. They have a potential out after 2027. So we'll wait and see there. But you'd think, production-wise, that you'd stick on there. He's not a free agent until 2029 when he's unrestricted. Filipponi says 28 to 30. Okay. Maybe. But again, what does John Lynch want to do? What does Kyle Shanahan want to do? We all know who Kyle Shanahan is. And Shannon Sharp has spoken on in the past. A guy that played for his dad, Mike, knows Kyle very well. You can say what you want about Shannon Sharp and his hot takes when it comes to LeBron, when it comes to all this sort of stuff, but the guy knows football. He is one of the greatest tight ends in the history of the game, and he knows the Shanahans very well. Hell, he knows Christian McCaffrey very well. There's that cute picture of him sitting on his lap and he's a little kid, a little baby. Shannon Sharp always says the Shanahans are not patient. They are not. They are not patient people. And if he thinks that he can get an upgrade tonight in the draft and move on from Ayuk, you're damn right. They are moving on from him. They like Ayuk. But you know what? I believe Shanahan, who learned under John Gruden, always has a wandering eye when it comes to offensive players. He just does. And Xavier Worthy going to be the guy? That I'm not sure. Yes, you would like to have a Marvin Harrison, a Neighbors out of LSU, a Dunze out of Washington, guys like that. They're going to be gone pretty quickly. So what do you start looking at? In the teens? Well, potential trade partners, Jacksonville at 17. They've been sniffing around. Mia O'Brien from down in Jacksonville, who covers the team for their local radio station. Apologies for not having it off the top of my head. She's been on with us many times before. When I say us, the Morning Roast. Although, maybe we'll start doing guests on the pregame show. We've been talking about it, Sam and I, potentially. Jaguars, 17. Colts, 15. Although in this mock, that's kind of sick. Daniel Jeremiah's mock, NFL Network. He has Brock Bowers. Georgia tight end falling all the way to 15. Could you imagine just the sheer physicality of a Bowers and Anthony Richardson on there, paired with Michael Pittman. Oh, by the way, you got Jonathan Taylor still. Not bad. Not bad at all. 888. I love draft week. I love draft. I am a sucker for this stuff. I don't know if they're going to be any good, these players. Brock Bowers could, flame out. These guys cannot be like Caleb Williams could. For the history of my life and all of our lives, the Chicago Bears have never had a quarterback. This is going to be the litmus test of all litmus tests when it comes to Caleb Williams and whether or not he is going to succeed in Chicago, because this is by far the greatest college talent that has ever been bestowed upon that city. But college talent's one thing. NFL talent's another. Hell, Mr. Irrelevant was just an MVP candidate. He was a runner-up. We have no idea what we're doing. This guy could be Jamarcus Russell. Now, I don't think he is, but you never know. That's why the draft is so damn great. It is not a perfect science. 888-957-9570. We'll get more into this conversation, more of what Tim Kawakami had to say yesterday, and more of what you have to say for the NFL draft. Are the 49ers trading Brandon Ayuk? Should they? Who should they target, if so, in that first round? We'll discuss all that next, right here on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Made to shine. Real story.
Next question.
NBA playoffs, man. Still delivering. Welcome back. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni. One segment down, 2 more to go. Clippers. Mavericks. That series tied 1 game apiece. Pacers Bucks tied at 1 game apiece. But yesterday, Thunder, they're doing what they do. They're taking care of business. No Zion for the Pelicans. That was going to be a tough task for them. Probably going to be a sweep. Maybe end in 5. They're rolling right now. But the Miami Heat, I didn't even check to see how many points they were as an underdog. What was it? Plus what? 10 point, 15? What was it? If you had the Heat on a ticket, 888-957-9570. But they get the job done in Boston. No Jimmy Butler, no problem. Again, there's only one true culture in the NBA, and it is the Miami Heat culture. It's impressive. Eric Spoelstra, just masterclass of coaching once again. And the Celtics, as we all thought, and as we all feel they are, not to say they can't be in the finals still. They probably still will be. But do I think that Celtics team is going to beat a team like the Denver Nuggets? No. Hell, do I think that Celtics team is going to beat a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves? No. Again, the West and East, it's just, there's a top and a bottom, and the West has been on top damn near my entire life outside of the Jordan Bulls run. And that team carried the East. Carried them. Kind of like what LeBron was doing with Cleveland for all those years. He just didn't have enough help around him. Does Brock Purdy have enough help around him? I would say so. He's got an All-Pro in Deebo Samuel, an All-Pro in Brandon Ayuk, and an All-Pro in George Kittle. That's 3 All-Pros right there. Oh, and by the way, an All-Pro in Christian McCaffrey, an Offensive Player of the Year. So 1, 2, 3. That's 4 All-Pros. It's pretty good. I think that's the best you can do. Now, if Juwan Jennings was also an All-Pro, that would help, but it's just not going to happen. Now, get rid of one of those guys in Brandon Ayuk, and it could be a chain reaction. All of a sudden, your route running takes a huge dip. That matters in an offense like Kyle Shanahan's based on timing and rhythm and attacking the middle of the field, which again, route running is very important with. Deebo Samuel, God love him, that is not what he's known for. Not to say he's a scrub at that, but he is not the master technician like a Devontae Adams type or a Brandon Ayuk type, who I think are 2 of the best route runners in the NFL. Hell, and Amon-Ra St. Brown just got paid. So it could be a chain reaction. If the 49ers end up trading Brandon Ayuk and going with a rookie, maybe the expectations for this team go down a little bit for some fans. Now, they'll still be considered one of the favorites in the NFC, as they should be, because you look around the landscape, there's really one team, maybe 2 teams, that I'm truly worried about contending for a Super Bowl outside of the 49ers in the NFC. That's going to be the Detroit Lions, and what are they going to do? You know, Shasky brought it up yesterday. We were doing a little chit-chat about the draft, about quarterbacks falling and stuff like that. He said, what if the Lions take a guy like Michael Penix? That kind of puts the Niners on notice a little bit. What he is capable of with that arm and with that talent, I know the medical, but in Detroit, where he would be a star, and yes, Jared Goff, God love him, not known for the arm talent. Not to say he doesn't have any. He does not have the arm strength or touch of the deep ball like a Michael Penix, who probably has the best deep ball and arm in the draft. It's him and Caleb Williams. That's how crazy he is. The only reason that he's talking about potentially sliding out of the first is, again, the injury history. And some people don't like left-handed quarterbacks, but come on. Steve Young, baby. Kenny Stabler. Let's go. Bay Area knows about left-handed quarterbacks. Detroit, I can see them doing that. They've got the offensive line protection. They've got the wide receivers. They've got the running game. They've got the defensive stud in Aiden Hutchinson, although that is probably something you're looking to shore up, specifically that secondary for Detroit. Yikes. And then I'm looking at a team like the Los Angeles Rams. What are they going to do? That game went down to the wire against the Detroit Lions, and the Rams could have potentially come in, could have came into town and knocked off the Niners. We saw how the Niners were playing against the Packers. Had they be playing a team like Sean McVay and the Rams, maybe they lose early on in that playoffs, I should say. Maybe, just maybe. I'm not counting out the Rams. I think they get slept on a lot when we talk about the contenders in the NFC. Puka Nacua is a problem. Cooper Kupp, beast. Matt Stafford, yeah, pretty good. He's won a Super Bowl. Still has the arm. Getting older. And maybe do the Rams look at one of these quarterbacks potentially? Be interesting. They're there in the teens. They finally have a first-round pick. And I'm not used to talking about the Rams in the first round because of Les Snead and Sean McVay just say F them picks usually. Maybe they do that tonight. Maybe they'd make a trade. Now, I'm not saying they're doing interdivision, although that would be a three-headed monster. They're not doing that. Don't worry. No way Kyle Shanahan would do that with his boy Sean McVay. Although, from the Rams, I make a call. Tim Kawakami joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday. TK Pod talking Ayuk. And here's what he had to say in regards to his best guess on whether or not Ayuk stays a 49er.
If I had to guess, I'd say that he's still on the team tomorrow and the next day, but man, that's a guess. And I don't think John Lynch could tell you for sure. I really don't. I don't think they know. They're going to wait to see what the offers are, going to see what receivers on the board. When that pick they're offered comes to them, they're going to see how they feel about Ayuk. This is dramatic. This is really dramatic stuff.
It's very dramatic. I can tell it in Tim's voice. He's really selling me on the dramaticism of all of it. Deebo Samuel, though, I think we need to talk about him in this conversation. He's probably going to be gone after this year. Just looking at his contract, looking at his production, looking at his health-wise, I was talking about this with Shasky off the air yesterday. Were any of us shocked when he pulled a hammy in the Super Bowl and then he was just not the same guy for most of it? Were any of us shocked? He's just a guy that you can't count on playing in every single game, every single year. Brandon Ayuk is. He stays healthy. And his game is not predicated on extreme athleticism, strength, speed. No. In fact, it's predicated on elite route running, elite fundamentals. He is physical when it comes to blocking, which is a massive part of the Shanahan system. Just look at George Kittle. He's the guy I would rather have set up for the future of this team and with Brock Purdy. I know Brock has said in the past that Deebo is the ultimate safety blanket. Well, what happens when your safety blanket constantly gets torn and ripped apart and you have to keep going back and sewing it up? That's not quite a safety blanket to me, or a safety net that's got a couple cuts in it. I love Deebo. I just can't count on him as much as I can count on Brandon Ayuk. And here's what TK had to say, Tim Kawakami, on Deebo, the declining player, and Ayuk still ascending.
It's a potential declining player. This was kind of was the issue that they had with him 2 years ago. It was like they just didn't see how he was going to be a $27 million player in 3 years. Well, he's probably not going to be. And they have their way out of it. So for pure math, you could say if they give the money to Ayuk, it's probably not going to go to Deebo. But that's not limited to just the one player. I know. And we saw it with Armstead. We might see it with several other players. They have outs for these long-term deals. That's why players fight for the guaranteed money. And when the time comes, when the guaranteed money doesn't hit the 49ers as hard, you start seeing some players going.
888-957-9570. Is Ayuk staying or is he going? Good morning to all of you. Just getting off work, getting ready for work. It's a pregame show. Joe Spadoni talking NFL draft. We got you covered all day long right here on 95.7 The Game. You don't want to go anywhere else for your 49ers draft coverage. 6 to 10 right here on 95.7 The Game. Evan Giddings, Mark Grandy, Sterling Bennett got you covered. Again, all that first round coverage. What is going to happen in this draft? Something crazy always happens. Is there going to be a bong? What was it? The gas mask bong picture getting leaked? That was great. Who was my guy at Ole Miss that had that? Tunsil?
Larry Tunsil.
Yeah, Tunsil, yeah. He's a pretty good player, too. Like, I know he fell. That was a great pickup. Who was that, Miami? Or was that Houston? One of them. I know they got traded or something
Miami
like that.
drafted him,
Thank
and then
you.
I think he eventually made his way to Houston.
Thank you. That's what it was. That was a great one. I keep seeing people that want on social, I keep seeing people reply like, oh my God, did you see this picture of Jaden Daniels? Oh, he's got to fall now. And they just post a Tunsil pic. It's so good. I don't think, it's funny that today most states have that legal now, so it actually wouldn't be that much of a deterrent. At least for me, if I was a GM, it is what it is. 408. Debo isn't worth that money. Brandon Ayuk had a season based off of playing with the offensive player of the year. So is Ayuk a product of McCaffrey? Well, I'd say this entire offense is a product of Christian McCaffrey because he's just that damn good. He keeps that every single defense honest because of what he can do in the running and passing game with that zone block running scheme. He is that freaking good. But so was Brandon Ayuk. He was incredible. Now, are some of his numbers boosted because of the offense, because of the players he plays with? Yes. But the players still got to play. Like, again, I'm looking at guys that can't even get on the field that were high draft picks on both sides of the ball. Danny Gray and Drake Jackson on line one. So, for as much as we want to, talk about, oh man, if they get a first round pick, maybe they can, reset the market a little bit, get some cap relief. Yeah, but are we trusting Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch to make the right pick in the first round? They just extended their only first round draft selection. That was a hit last offseason. That was Nick Bosa. Now they can do it again with Brandon Ayuk, but will they? We'll see. We'll discuss that on the other side right here on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker.
should have had an Eminem rejoin today, right? Detroit. NFL draft. What will the 49ers do with Brandon Ayuk? Final segment here of pregame show Joe Spadoni before I hand the baton off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky of the Morning Roast. Oh, they're fired up. Better believe it, baby. Ayuk stuff's got him worried. Shasky's worried about it. He is. I think 49er fans should be too. Not to say, and not to go full Rob and Sam Bruno and say,
the downfall is near and it's coming hard.
But these are the things that happens. You know, when you don't have the guy set at quarterback yet, these are the things that, you know, kind of go through fans' minds. Now, you feel like you have your guy in Brock Purdy, but he's going to get paid. This is not a Tom Brady in New England situation where he is right off the bat going to take a discount. And if he does do that, well, good on him. That's great. But he should want to get his bag as soon as possible because it could all get flipped over like that. Be done. Major injury. And again, NFL stands for not for long. I just have a hard time seeing Brock Purdy taking that much of a discount for this team, considering the fact that he's Mr. Irrelevant and he needs to get money. I see him in all the advertisements. I saw him at, Radio Row just last year when he just came onto the scene doing all the Old Spice stuff. He's everywhere. He's doing John Deere, tractor stuff. Like, he's trying to get his money. And I don't fault the guy for that. And to ask him to take a pay cut so you can keep guys like Kittle, like Debo, like Ayuk, I'm good if I'm Brock. But again, I look out for the player, not the organization. It's the organization, they're doing great. They're doing fine. Jed York, the Yorks, they're doing great. They are. 888-957-9570. Will Brandon Ayuk still be a 49er after tonight? NFL draft round 1. It starts at 5 o'clock, where the Chicago Bears will be on the clock by way of the Carolina Panthers pick. Yikes. What a disaster in Carolina, by the way. What's going to go on there? Dave Canales, he just got that job right. OC out of Tampa Bay. Good luck, buddy. Good luck. From the Xfinity mobile text line, 574. I think that's Indiana that we've learned, Northern Indiana. Shout out. Again, download the Odyssey app. We're all over this great nation of ours. East Coast, West Coast, South, North, doesn't matter. We're everywhere. I'm a Bengals fan, and Joe Burrow's contract probably just destroyed them for the future. Well, you have Joe Burrow, and we'll wait and see on that. Because there is value in having an elite quarterback and a quarterback with an elite name. And Joe Burrow has that. Now, he also has some injury concerns. But he will always attract others, potentially for a discount or not, to come over and play with him. And if you have that quarterback, it gives your team a chance no matter what. You just saw that, and I'm not comparing them because you know what? I hate doing this, and I don't want to pigeonhole myself here. But Patrick Mahomes, one of one, and he has shown what he can do with lesser, quote-unquote, talent around him. Now he still has Travis Kelce, future Hall of Famer, all that. But Rashee Rice being his number one, still had MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Yeah, Pacheco's nice running back. It's nice. But it's still, at the end of the day, the defense and that protection up front. And can your quarterback make enough throws? And I contend in that Super Bowl, the 49ers defense did enough to win that game. They did. The Chiefs had one touchdown in regulation. And that was because of a muffed punt. They were holding that Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce to 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. They were getting the job done. They were getting turnovers. Just couldn't quite come away with the one score you needed in the red zone by Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, and all those. Steve Spagnuolo took Kyle's lunch and his money. and his jacket and his little hat. Took all of it. So much so that Kyle Shanahan had, Stockholm syndrome and tried to go get Spagnuolo. It's like, I need this guy. Come over here in the offseason. Come be my DC. Can't be Steve Wilkes. Spagnuolo said, no, I'm staying with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs' entire front office and coaching staff basically all re-upped. 888-957-9570. One more from Tim Kawakami, who, again, had a great conversation with Willard and Dibbs yesterday in regards to Brandon Ayuk's future with the 49ers, Deebo Samuel's future with the 49ers. Go ahead and find that on YouTube. Search 95.7 The Game. Like and subscribe. This one was interesting. The 49ers were closer to trading Deebo 2 years ago.
They came pretty close to trading Deebo 2 years ago, and they didn't. In fact, I would say they probably were more willing to trade Deebo Samuel 2 years ago after a monster season, one of Kyle Shanahan's favorite players, than they are now with Ayuk. Although, the more you listen, the more you, okay, maybe they are pretty close, or at least willing to talk on Ayuk. I think it's set up for Deebo Samuel's contract to be moved off after this season. I just think that's the way the contract was played out. It's like that's where they have this out. It's not this year, it's next year. Ayuk would not be getting a new contract starting till next season anyway, very likely. You don't really tear up that last season if you do the extension. They haven't with other players, so his number is not going up huge. In fact, it will go down because it's $14 million this season. A number will probably go down to start the cap hits and then expand, by a lot in later years.
888-957-9570. This is what happens with very good teams. You can't keep everyone together forever. You'd like to think it's like the Warriors in basketball, but it's football. It just isn't like that. It's a different sport, it's a different beast, if you will. From the 415, is there any return on investment trading Brandon Ayuk to Kansas City? Boy. I mean, they just got Hollywood Brown, who I know he's not on Brandon Ayuk's level. He's a pretty good player, though. If I'm a fantasy owner, I would love to have Hollywood Brown in a PPR league, absolutely, this next season. He's going to get a lot of intermediate, short of the stick stuff, but he'll get a lot of chunk plays as well. Looking right now, Chiefs obviously have the last pick in the first round. Do you double dip there? Do you say you'll trade Ayuk for the 32nd? And then you have 2 picks right there, and then can you package something? That'd be interesting. But again, you're making your rival, basically. I'm calling him a rival now. If you lose to the same team twice in the span of 4 years in the Super Bowl, yeah, I'd say they're a rival. I'm not giving them Ayuk. I'm not doing that. Also, I don't know if the cap situation, can the Chiefs even pay Ayuk what he wants? I don't think so. That would be tough, though. Be a sick offense. Oh, are you kidding me? Ayuk, Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce. Ugh. Throwing up right now. Throwing up. So no, I don't think that would happen. I don't think the 49ers want to make the team that just beat them in the Super Bowl even more better. How about that? Again, you're looking at teams like that need a wide receiver. Who needs a wide receiver? Pittsburgh? They're picking at 20. You go Jacksonville, 17. Just moved off of Calvin Ridley. Deontay Johnson, obviously, with Steelers, no longer there. Pickens, you got Christian Kirk still in Jacksonville. Colts, potentially. They got Pittman out of USC. You go Ayuk now. Again, Daniel Jeremiah's mock. He's got Brock Bowers going there in his latest mock. Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network. God, that'd be sick. Oh, Brock Bowers in Indianapolis. Kind of feels like that. He's a Napa guy. We like him. But he kind of fits that tough and gritty Indianapolis Colts vibe, right? In that dome. He looks sick. So those are kind of the teams you're looking at. Indianapolis, Jacksonville. Again, the Steelers, Andrew Filipponi, 93.7. Our sister station out in Pittsburgh. Host over there. Steelers are very interested.
I know for a fact that the Steelers are still very interested.
Oh, boy.
There are a lot of guys in their front office who are looking at that Eagles model with the A.J. Brown trade and thinking, this is the guy we need to kickstart things for us and bring the most out of our quarterbacks who are one-year deals, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. their assistant GM, the guy who was setting the draft board for them. His name is Andy Weidel. He was with the Eagles before he came here last offseason. So, yeah, if the 49ers want to do business, the Steelers are ready.
Morning Roast up next. Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. You all enjoy your round one of the NFL draft tonight. Talk to you tomorrow.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
The economy is rough.